Caroline Hendershot here with Brian Baldinger and Douzable. And guys, let's discuss some of the prospects that people love for the Jets at 10 and some who are more hesitant for number 10, and that's Brock Bowers. For sake of argument, I'm going to have you guys debate. You're going to be for Brock Bowers. You're going to be against Brock Bowers. Why should the Jets pick Bowers at 10, Baldy?
Well, anybody that's watched Georgia football over the last 3 years, like Brock Bowers shows up. He shows up in the biggest games. He's a point scorer. He's electrifying one-handed catches, beats any kind of coverage. But what really got me excited is when I went back and really studied his blocking ability. Like, he is a bulldog. I'm attacking the edge. He's a very good blocker in line. So I think when you look at Brock Bowers, like, he can be your flex tight end. He can be your true wide tight end to really help in the run game. I think you can game plan him. And that's the thing. If you take Brock Bowers, you got to have a plan for Brock Bowers. You can't just have him on the roster. He's in this package. He's not in this package. You got to feature him. And if you feature him, he delivers.
Okay.
So, Baldy, you said some amazing things. I agree with you. When you look at him, he's an explosive weapon on offense, a mismatch for, linebackers and safety and coverage. He has gotten significantly better in his blocking. But, Caroline, I just think at number 10, that's too rich. When we talk about positional value, to your point, when you take a tight end that high, you better have a plan for him. We saw Kyle Pitts in Atlanta, and that really hasn't worked out. And before that, I think Vernon Davis was the last tight end that went in the top 10. So when you're talking about positional value, even though he is more of a weapon X or, a offensive explosive weapon, I think it's just too high. And then when you look at the tight end room the Jets have, I love it, Caroline. I mean, when you talk about Tyler Conklin and what he's able to do to stretch the field down the seam, and then Jeremy Rucker, I think, is going to be a star on this offense. He's a complete tight end. He will rip your face off while he's blocking, but then also has the athletic ability to stretch you down the seam. We saw that on a few fade balls last year, him really go up and high point the football. Kenny Yeboah is a really good third tight end, and then Zach Kuntz is a developmental tight end. So to me, taking Brock Bowers at 10 is more of a luxury pick. I don't think it's a need for the Jets.
Okay, so where does he fit into this Jets tight end room, Baldy?
Well, I mean, he becomes tight end number 1. I mean, like I said, if you take him at 10, you have to have a plan for him. So that means, okay, he's on the field, red zone, third downs. This is his play. This is the combination with Mike Williams, with Garrett Wilson. Like, we're going to cluster these guys, whatever it is. You got to feature him because he's got that kind of a talent. And so, the fact that he's called a tight end, you have flexibility with this guy. You could put him out wide against linebackers that might walk out with him. You can have 12 personnel in the field, but he's really your go-to guy. So it really becomes a question of how you're going to utilize him, and you have to use him. Like, you can't just have him on the roster. You got to really use him.
Well, this is the only pushback I would have on that. When you talk about Brock Bowers, and we have talked about his blocking getting better, does it help Breece Hall in the blocking game as much as having a Jeremy Rucker on the field? Probably not. And when you go 2 tight end sets, because like you said, if you take him 10 overall, he's going to see the field. What does that do with Tyler Conklin, right? Because he's more of your receiving threat tight end. Now, he is a willing blocker. I think people forget before he became a pass catcher his last year in Minnesota, he was the blocking tight end.
Now, Leger mentioned this a little briefly, but does the recent history of tight ends take an early sway your opinion at all, Baldy?
It doesn't sway my opinion because everybody's different. I would agree that Kyle Pitts has not been used properly. Maybe that's why there's a coaching change in Atlanta, but they had quarterback issues. I think everybody has to live in their own moment. Like, it's not fair to Brock Bowers or anybody else. If you were an elite prospect, an elite talent, it's inherent on the organization to figure out how best to use you. And you can't look at past history. We say this all the time about certain quarterbacks from certain institutions and colleges. Like, every player deserves that opportunity to create his own destiny.
Yeah, for me, Caroline, it's not about what Kyle Pitts did or didn't do or what Vernon Davis did or didn't do. It's positional value. There's a reason why linebackers go in the second round. To me, Edrin Cooper is first-round talent, but he's probably not going to go to the second round because of positional value. Look at a lot of these interior offensive line. Christian Haynes, to me, from UConn, probably deserves to be looked at in the back of the first round, but he's not going to go in the back of the first round because of positional value. And that's why I think, even though Brock Bowers is technically a tight end and he is an offensive weapon, I think that is the reason why you can't take him in the top 10.
The only thing is that there's certain offenses in this league right now that are driven by the tight ends. Obviously, Kansas City's Kansas City. but Baltimore with Mark Andrews.
Correct.
You can look at certain. I think Dalton Kincaid now in Buffalo might be their number one target. He might get 100 catches this year because of what they have. So it really depends. Like you go around this league right now, and you can see where the tight ends have really influenced the passing game, and it's built around the tight ends. And maybe Brock Bowers is going to be that guy.
Okay, now let's take the debate hats off. What do you think of Brock Bowers as a player? I know you guys have both spoken a little bit about him, but without the debate in mind, what do you think of him as a player?
Now, he is a fast twitch. He is an explosive athlete. And we use those terms, and maybe we use them too frequently because it gets a little diluted after a while, but he is that guy. Like, his ability to adjust the ball in the air, the suddenness that he plays with, his ability at the point of attack to get into blockers or into defensive players is what you look at when you're looking at a top 10, top 15 talent.
Yeah, explosive athlete. Again, I don't want people to think I don't like Brock Bowers. I like him. I just think 10 is a little rich for the Jets. Explosive athlete, right? You talked about him adjusting to the ball. I mean, I don't think there's a tight end that has the body control that Brock Bowers has. All you got to do is turn on that Auburn film. He literally took over the game in the second half, and it was crazy because they knew that's where the ball was going, and they couldn't do anything about it, Baldy.
Yeah.
So to me, he will be tight end 1. 10's a little high. I love the player. I just think 10's a little rich to take a tight end.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see where Bowers goes and what the Jets do with their number 10 overall pick. But thank you, Baldy and Leger. Great insight.